Welcome to Beginner's Book Nook, where I, as a beginner, teach things to you in a simple way. Today, kitchen lithography.
For kitchen lithography, you're going to need some aluminum foil, any type of soda with phosphoric acid, a flat, sturdy surface that is also water resistant, a couple of sponges, a roller, either sketchbook or watercolor paper. I personally prefer sketchbook paper, a baking dish, water, oil, some scissors and tape, a wax or oil-based crayon, and some sort of oil-based ink.
Now that we have all our materials, we can start with our first step, which is creating what we will actually be drawing on, aka the matrix. So for this, all you're going to do is rip out a piece of tin foil about the length of whatever flat material you are working with. So I'm going to do mine about this size. Lay that down and go ahead and flatten it out. You want to make sure when you do this, there are absolutely no wrinkles on your tinfoil, because whatever wrinkles show up on your tinfoil will show up on your print later down the road. Once your tinfoil is nice and flattened, you're going to take your sheet, lay it down, and start folding it like a present. You're going to want to make sure you keep your edges nice and tight so it doesn't slip when you roll. Once you're done with this, you have it all nice and taped. It's not going anywhere. It should look something like this. It's nice, it's smooth, and you can see in the back, this baby isn't going anywhere. Now that our matrix is done, now comes the fun part. You're actually going to start drawing directly onto this piece of tinfoil. But keep in mind, whatever you draw has to be reflected, meaning the opposite sides. Because when you put your paper down and you actually do your print, it's going to be reflected. That may sound confusing, but it'll make a lot more sense once you see it. So I'm just going to start drawing a nice little vase of flowers. And just like that, I have a nice, cute little flower vase that we will eventually put on paper. Now, how do I get this set? Because we're going to be inking it, and it just feels like this is going to go away. Relax. I have a plan for this. You're going to take a can of Coke or whatever soda you can find, but it has to have phosphoric acid. And what this is going to do is it's going to set that wax or oil-based crayon actually into your tinfoil. So, you're going to pour. First, you got to taste it. Pour it right into your baking dish, just like so. You might not have to use all of it. Take your sheet, lay it flat into your Coke. And now we wait. 5 minutes is good, 10 minutes is better. While we wait for that, why don't we discuss the history of printmaking? So together we have learned about the process of lithography and printmaking, but we haven't really heard about the history. So that's why I'm here. It started around 1400s with manuscripts. Basically, they realized they were printing all these different works of literature, and they wanted it to be mass production, but doing it by hand took forever. So they decided, why don't we just carve into wood? And then hence the birth of printmaking. And this was called woodblock prints, where they took a piece of wood, carved into it, and then used that as the matrix, also known as what your image is drawn onto. Then, a little later down the line, we realized woodcut isn't that sustainable after a couple prints started to wear down. So we went to etching, where you take a metal plate and you carve into that, and it creates a bunch of little metal spirals as you do it. A very popular artist who did this is actually Rembrandt. Woodcuts, going back a little bit, Albrecht Dürer is actually a really good example. Then, as we moved on, we got more modern, we decided lithography, and this was actually a complete accident. A guy by the name of Senfelder discovered that when he took oil, he was able to copy all of his scripts if he put water, because, as we learned, the two are hydrophobic, meaning they don't mix. So then we keep going, we keep discovering, and then the new age of technology happens. It's a major deal for artists because we're discovering new things and we realize, hey, we could take a picture, print it out on a thin sheet, and then put ink over it, and the image stays. So that kind of brings us into the modern day of print, which you could see examples all around me, actually. This is all screen printing. Okay, now that our matrix is out of the soda, and it has settled, and our wax crayon has set, it is now time for the scariest part of this process, which is completely erasing what we drew. To do this, we're going to take our sponge, dip it in some oil, and you're going to wipe your print until there is no more image. Okay. After you've done that, it should look like this. There's no more image, but there is a layer of oil all over the print. This is where science comes in. You are now going to take a sponge with water and gently go over it. Remember how I mentioned before? Oil and water do not mix. They're hydrophobic. You can never mix them together. So, I'm going to take a damp sponge and just wipe over it. Just like so. Now, after you've done this, it's time to ink. See if the image actually worked. You're going to take any ink, but it has to be oil-based. It can't be water-based. You're going to take it, put about a nickel-sized dollop on your whatever board you're using. Make sure you close the lid. We don't want that to dry out. And take your roller. You're wanting to go up, down, side, side. So, up, down, side, side. And you're just looking for a nice, even coat on your roller. Just like so. You're then going to take your roller and go right over your matrix with it. Just like so. If you did it right, your ink should just be sticking to where you drew your picture. This may take a couple goes. Just be patient. Okay, now that our matrix is inked, it's time to lay our paper. Our paper is going to be slightly damp. We're going to put it right on top and press down. Make sure you're really smoothing it out. And then carefully lift up, and voila, you have a beautiful print of a flower of vases, or a vase of flowers. Thank you for watching.